I don't know why I'm doing this shocked mouth face. I think I'm nervous because this is like a new format. Testing. Did this work? To activate chat, please enable here. First mistake I made was people actually tried to talk to me in my last stream, which has never happened, and I wasn't looking. So I'm trying to set up chat, which will work, I think. Hooray, the chat is waiting for new messages. So I'm going to do something super different. I am going to, first let's go to this view, because why not? And I'm going to work through the tutorials by this person named Dirk, who I follow. And I'd say I bring a photo of their work into my stream at least once a stream. So I got really excited and today announced this new set of stuff. So you know what, I'm just going to dive in. Like, it should be relatively obvious what's happening. It'll either work or it won't. Destinations, chat. Oh, no, that's not the chat I want. But I also want to get the chat working. Maybe that didn't work. All right, maybe I'll just try this while I'm at it. Open in browser. The chat is waiting for messages. Hello. All right, cool. Did a chat. Okay, let's see if it works. So the cool thing is I've got this video that you're about to see in, oh, hang on. I thought I did. In Unity, in VR with me. So the video that you're watching, I'm watching. And I also have, so this is an experiment on many fronts. So let's bring up this. Let's make sure this looks right. I guess let's. What do I need to do first? Let's start a new sketch. That's probably a good idea, so we can get that set up properly. New sketch. All right, and then let's get this set so it's like an external camera. This was cooking it last time, but it has not cooked it this time. That's very good. And for now, let's just get that. Let that be the angle. So I'm facing this way. It's facing that way. That's pretty good. All right. So you can see what I can see. And we're going to listen to the tutorial at the same time. This might work. Let's find out. Multi-content streaming. I am in. Oh, hang on. I gotta go here. Let's move that. That's cool. So I can check my own stream while I'm in it. That's very cool. Okay, press play.
This is the way I like to. In Gravity Sketch, this is the way I like to set up my scene. Go into settings, turn on the world axis, so I know where the center of my scene is. Turn on the stage floor. Turn on y-axis is up. Sometimes I turn it off if I really need to rotate the whole scene, but usually it's fine like this. And then I also select this preset, which gives me the most outside reference.
All right, let's go to the start. I see the problem here. It's a lot of screen for not a lot of. All right. So bear with me. You can see where I'm going with this though, right? It should be pretty cool. First I gotta make it theater mode, which means I gotta make this smaller. Soon enough, like VR will be good enough that you can, hang on, this needs to stay the same size. Oh wait, no, I see. like I said, very experimental. And then I think we're good to go. Let's just press. You know what? From now on, Dirk, you're
In Gravity Sketch, this is the way I like to set up my scene. Go into Settings, turn on the World Axis, so I know where the center of my scene is.
Check.
Turn on the stage floor.
All right. So I can see this in VR.
In Gravity
which is
Sketch,
cool.
this is the way I like to set up my scene. Go into Settings, turn on the World Axis, so I know where the center of my scene is. Turn on the stage floor.
The controller's flat, but
Turn
I can
on
set up now
Y-axis
so I can
is
take a
up.
mouse battery,
Sometimes I turn it off
the
if I
ultimate
really
in
need
VR.
to
ball a move. It's
rotate
just
the
being
whole
like,
scene,
alright,
but usually it's fine like this.
where we're going, we don't need mice. Oh.
And then I also select this preset, which gives me the most outside reference, which can really help when you're building larger
excited
scenes
to
like
see
interiors and you don't have that much reference outside of
Not
your
just works
object.
generally.
It
like
can
the,
make you a little
like,
queasy.
thinks through the scene.
Then this,
design
for
and
me,
stuff like
is the
that.
best.
This really is a totally new medium.
The best scene to work in. Then for scale, I add dummy. I don't
Alright.
scale it.
You can start again.
This way I have a consistent... In Gravity Sketch, this is the way I like to set up my scene. Go into Settings, turn on the World Axis,
Okay,
so I know
settings.
where the center of my scene is.
Turn on the world
Turn on the
axis.
stage floor.
Vertical lock mirror.
Turn on Y-axis is up.
Y-axis is up.
Sometimes I turn it off if I really need to
Stage floor.
rotate the whole scene, but usually it's
axis
fine
on.
like this.
All right.
And then I also select this preset, which gives me the most outside reference, which can really help when you're building larger scenes like
cool.
interiors and you don't have
Alright.
that much reference outside of your object. It can make you
That's
a
me.
little queasy. Then this, for me, is the best. I add dummy.
Is that me?
I don't scale it. This way I have a consistent scale between the scenes. I put it on its own layer.
Wait, how'd you do
Make
that?
it
Fuck.
transparent and lock it.
I'm just gonna try and
Then
keep
on
up.
my new layer is where I usually start by sketching out what I want to make. In this case, it's going to
get rid
be
of
a
all this
tree
shit.
with some bushes and some plants.
It's alright, Mima. It's alright. It's alright.
Usually go ahead and make that transparent as well, and
Mima,
then
hey,
start to build my
shush.
geometry on a new
Daddy's
layer.
streaming. Mima.
For that, I almost exclusively use the Sub-D
Alright, I think I'm gonna have to go back again. Sorry, guys.
functionality
I
of
don't know how
Gravity
to
Sketch.
get rid of these little tools here.
And of that, I usually start with either a cube or a plane. And then
More zoomed in. That's too zoomed in.
I start my modeling. So this is how I
Slow
set
down,
up.
Dirk. Alright.
I don't scale it. This way I have a consistent scale between the scenes.
Okay. Alright. Hang on.
I put it on its own layer. Make it transparent and lock it. Then on my new layer is where I usually start by sketching out what I want to make. In this case,
So
it's
how do-
going
how
to
do
be
you
a
make a new
tree with
layer?
some
That
bushes
layer, here
and
we
some
go.
plants.
New layer. And then I lock it. Alright.
Usually go ahead and make that transparent as well, and then start to build my geometry
Okay.
on a new
Do a
layer.
tree.
And for that, I almost exclusively use the Sub-D
Okay.
functionality of Gravity Sketch. And of that, I usually start with either a cube or a plane.
Oh, here we go. Alright. Alright.
And
As
then
fast as I can, Dirk. Slow down.
I start my modeling. So this is how
Jesus.
I
Alright, hang
set
on.
up
So
a
quick.
basic scene in Gravity Sketch before I start to dive into the 3D modeling. Okay, so
then
now
starts
we've
with modeling.
set up our
Alright,
scene
easy.
and we're gonna start some modeling.
That's
As
that
I
easy.
said, I only
to the
use
plane,
the
sub D.
subdivision modeling tools that Gravity Sketch added, and I usually start with either a cube or a plane. Make sure that you have this button selected. Just create a plane. Let me delete this one.
Okay, that I can do.
Create a plane
Alright.
and
go as
go
fast as I
into
can,
edit
Dirk.
mode. These tutorials, I'm not going to go into what every button does because there are already good tutorials from Gravity Sketch. And I could also recommend
hang on,
Danny
back we go.
Pittman's videos. I'm just going to go.
That was too quick.
And then I start my modeling. So this is how I set up a basic scene in Gravity Sketch before I start to dive into the 3D modeling. Okay, so now we've set up our scene and we're going to start some modeling. As I said, I only use the subdivision modeling tools that Gravity Sketch added, and I usually start with either a cube or a plane. Make sure that you have this button selected.
Fuck.
Just create a plane. Let me delete this one.
How did he do that?
Create a
Created
plane
the plane.
and go into edit mode. These tutorials, I'm not going to go into what every button does
Maybe
because there
it's
are
'cause-
already
alright,
good tutorials
Anyway,
from
yeah.
Gravity Sketch. And I could also recommend Danny Pittman's videos.
So when you customize,
I'm just
you
going
can
to go
choose how many
over
polys there
more
are.
general principles
How many?
in my workflow.
Okay.
So for this scene, what I want to do is I want to create a little diorama of a tree, some bushes, and some plants.
Mm-hmm.
I want all
Sounds
these
fun.
elements to share the same material. And I want them to be separate. So I have this whole diorama. I could put it in my scene as is, and I can also go in, take all the little plants and things and use them separately throughout my scene. So first, let me create the basic shape
Alright, hang on. I made this in the
for
wrong.
this tree.
On the wrong layer. Alright, layers. That's the first thing I've learnt.
Go
Very
around
cool.
like this.
Alright, go to this
And
layer.
these vertices will snap
No.
automatically
No. Fuck. What have I done?
where it makes sense for them to snap.
Yep.
This button, you can select an entire edge loop and just copy it
Okay, so what he's done.
and
Alright,
scale it as you copy it. This is
Alright, hang
something
on.
that I use quite a lot.
This is much harder than I thought it would be. Okay. Nothing. No shade on the Dirkster. I just just not as quick at this as I thought I would be. All right. So am I on the right layer now? What do these buttons do? So that's layer 1. It's locked. Opacity is down. Layer 2 is locked. Opacity is down. Layer 3, opacity is full, and toggle solid layer. Okay, cool. Alright, I getcha. And now I've realized what I've been doing, which probably makes things harder than it needs to be, is I've been customizing my sub D, which I always thought was like the point. Oh no. Hang on, I'm gonna lock the other layer. Chink. Okay, cool. Can you guys see that? Yeah. You could probably zoom in a bit more, but it should be right. Let's check out how does that look on the stream. That's pretty good. All right. Maybe I should bring it all around this way. It's probably more entertaining. And get a bit closer to the a faux camera. That's pretty good. And then I'll get... This is pretty cool. So yeah, I've got my... like the video here. Okay, how's that for a focal point? I reckon that ought to do it. Alright, I'm just going to try and catch up. So... Okay. Okay, and then clunk. Hang on, maybe. You guys got to get married. Hey, there we go. Are you two separate, or are you? There we go. All right, we're cooking. All right, I'm ready for you, Dirk.
Copy and scale.
Auto select loops.
Now here we want to go off into separate branches. So for this, I'll just deselect that one, grab an edge, make it snap there and there. And here we're going to have our first triangle. Select the edge, copy it, make it snap, and just delete it. And you have your triangle. Now in this case, I think I want to create some additional cuts. For that, I use that hammer and brush button on your right controller, the white one. Select it, take out the little knife, make a cut like so. Make another one. And I think I'm just gonna them all cut through the middle.
Okay. So it's like doing Bob Ross,
And then
I think.
take this plane, extrude it,
All right.
and scale it.
Extrude it.
At this point, I'm already not really paying too much attention to my initial sketch. It's really just for scale. What I love about VR modeling tools is they already kind of feel like you're drawing. So I kind of let the shape be determined as I'm creating the 3D model. Something like this. So copy and scale. No, because I don't want this to have a low poly look. I'm going to turn off subdivision.
All right.
Level 1.
I don't know what that means.
I'm going to continue to model like
Let's
this.
find out. This is...
So I wanted kind of a different slope at the end. So I'll just select a loop cut like that.
Wait, how'd you do that?
Take out the little knife. Make a cut like so.
Get out of here.
Make another one. And I think I'm just gonna them all
Can you open a window, babe?
cut through the middle.
Yeah, why is it so hot? Is the window open? No, no sun, no
And
sun, no, no.
Take
No, the
this
sun is
plane,
baking me.
Extrude it
Ah!
and scale it.
That's why it's so hot in here, because mine's down.
No, all the way down. All the way down. The sun is on me. It's cooking me like a chicken.
At this point, I'm already not really paying too much attention to my initial sketch. It's really just for scale. What I love about VR modeling tools is they already kind of feel like you're drawing. So I I kind of let the shape be determined as I'm creating the 3D model. Something like this.
Love the quest.
Copy
Wish it was more
and
comfortable.
scale.
Oh, fuck. Alright.
No, because I don't want this to have a low poly look. I'm
Mine
going to
doesn't
turn
look like
off
the man on
subdivision,
TVs.
level 1. I'm going to continue to model like this.
Alright. Subdivision.
So I wanted kind of a different
One.
slope at the
Ooh.
end. So I'll just select a loop cut like that.
How did you do that?
Make it a little less symmetrical. Then here at the top, I'll add extra loop cuts so it doesn't end all pointy. Okay, we'll work on that tree
Probably
a
gonna need
little
to see
later
that
on.
again. This might take me weeks. Alright,
I'm
let's just
going to
watch
turn
that.
off subdivision,
Oh, subdivision.
level 1.
Level 1.
I'm going to continue to model like this. So I wanted kind of a different slope at the end. So I'll just select a loop cut like that.
How'd you do that?
Make it a little less symmetrical. Then here at the top, I'll add extra loop cuts so it doesn't end all pointy.
Fuck, I wasn't watching again.
I don't want this to have a low poly look. I'm going to turn off subdivision, level 1. I'm going to continue to model like this. So I wanted kind of a different slope at the end. So I'll just select a loop cut like that.
How did he do that?
Make it a little less symmetrical.
Alright, I gotta watch.
Then here at the top, I'll add extra loop cuts so it doesn't end
How's he doing that?
all pointy. Okay, we'll work on that tree a little later on,
What did he do?
and I think I can
Alright,
start.
I might be
Continue
too
to
stupid
model.
for this. Alright, so somehow he's like adding loop cuts quicker? But I don't know how. Okay, so look, you got this tree going on. It's pretty cool. So this is sub D off. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. How did he make the loop cut? So he's obviously got some trick. He's doing something with his finger. So let's grab. Nope. 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 Alright, fuck it. I know how to do it the shit way. So let's just do it the loser's way. Hey babe. Baby. Baby. Excuse me, baby. Probably can't hear me. Alright, let's not get stuck on the details. How does he do those loop cuts? This is gonna eat me up inside. I've been like hand cutting my loops like a damn idiot. Hey babe. Yes. Hey, look, that's what you are, babe. That's what you are.
Red meat.
Yeah. Gotcha. Burn. Let's switch chairs. All right. Let's keep going.
Like this. So I wanted kind of a different slope at the end, so I'll just select a loop cut like that.
How did you do that? All right, hopefully I just guess how to do it at some stage.
Make it a little less symmetrical. And here at the top, I'll add extra loop cuts so it doesn't end all pointy.
How's he doing that? Oh! I figured it out!
We'll work on that tree a little later on.
Yes. So you just have to point at it
I
and then
think
press that.
I can remove that.
I guess you
initial
guys can't see
sketch
any
now.
of what I just
Doesn't
pointed
have
at.
any
Hang on.
purpose.
So
Gonna
let's
add
go
some
back
color to
to
this
the
tree.
start.
This is not gonna be realistic models. It's gonna have kind of like an alien,
So you get the little
tropical alien
dongle
look. I think it's the best way
and
to
you point
describe
it
it.
somewhere.
We'll work on the tree a little later
And then you
on.
chop.
For now, I want to create some
Alright,
bushes.
tutorials are paying off already.
So now I'm gonna go in and get the cube. Let's give it a different material. I'm gonna start by creating the supporting branch for bush.
Alright. Oh no.
Something like this.
Is this a new layer?
Now
What's
when
this
I
thing?
turn on subdivision,
Get this tree getting a bit more.
it's gonna round it off at the bottom. I don't want that,
Sassy.
so I'll just delete the face. That one's gonna be connected to the floor, so you won't see it.
So I don't understand. Is this like how that's gonna look?
I'll make a loop cut here,
That's cool.
and I'll extend some branches like so.
Alright, sorry, Dirk.
Rotate
shit.
the whole scene. Then for the realistic models, it's gonna
Oh, hang on.
have kind of like an alien, tropical alien look. I think it's the best way to describe it. We'll work on the tree a little later on. For now, I want to create some bushes. So now I'm going to go in and get the cube. Let's give it a different material. I'm going to
Get the cube.
start by creating the supporting branch for bush.
Supporting branch for the bush. Let's make it green.
Something like
Okay,
this.
So what are we doing? We're extruding.
Now, when I turn on subdivision, it's going to round it off at the bottom. I don't want that, so I'll just delete the face. That one's going to be connected to the floor, so you won't see it. I'll make a loop cut here, and I'll extend some branches like so. Yeah, maybe something like this.
Where'd you make the loop cut?
And
Ah,
maybe
Jesus.
not have them all in the same plane.
Oh man, game changer. Loop cut.
Kind of spread them around.
I'm a wizard.
And I think we can delete those top faces because this is the branch and we're gonna add a little model gonna represent the leafy part of this bush. Maybe I want this to be a little lower. Let's just create some subdivisions here.
It's just creating bushes like
wait, maybe
snow
a little
tomorrow.
less. First extend it so it covers those branches.
All right, so let's make this greener, I guess.
And again, usually this is not too planned. I'm just gonna see where it leads.
You do you, Ducky. Disclaimer: I don't know.
Copy and scale those
Special.
faces.
That's awesome.
Or just move the individual vertices around. Now, let's see what this looks like once I turn on subdivision. Maybe pull that down.
Yeah, gravity sketch, like grabbing these is just so good.
Continually rotate around the object so you have a good sense of how it looks from every angle. I think you want to make sure this branch moves, maybe scale it down a bit. Stick it in there.
Personally, I think I'd like leave sub D off. Well, I guess not. Just feels like you want to understand.
One of the things I also
envelope
have on,
better
which I
before
didn't
you
mention
kind of go
earlier,
into
is
make it look good mode.
the surface contours. Every now and then I turn them off just to see how it looks, but usually when I'm modeling I have them on. Just
Right.
gives me a better sense
That's cool.
of
Hang on. How do I
kind of
bring
the
that up?
edge flow of my geometry.
I'll leave that on for now.
No, maybe let's see if I want another bulge here on the top. Get a little bit more interesting. A little bit more puffy, so to speak. Let's move it to the side.
Looks like a bit of a mutant.
Yeah, I think I already kind of like that. Don't want to overthink it too much. Because it is a natural shape and it's okay if it's a little whimsical. And I think that works. I can group it.
All right, sub D.
I can easily select it.
Oof. How'd you do that?
Maybe I do want to go in there and add another loop cut near the bottom, so we have more of a natural way of connecting it to the ground. Okay, I think that's fine.
This is incredible.
I think we can go in and, so these are kind of the medium-sized bushes. Let's add something that looks more like a plant. Start with a plane and give it a different material. I will change all these colors later on. For now, this is just a way to keep it organized and see what you're working on. So I think I'm just going to create
All right,
leaves.
hang on. All right, I don't want to get too lost in the detail here, but I'm definitely going to. That's okay. That's okay. No, but something like that. This is like this magic make it look good button. I'm worried about the geometry, but apparently it's not a big deal. It just seems to figure it out, which is very cool. Let's bring that in a bit. What's going on here? This is like some Dr. Seuss shit. Alright. Look, okay, let's not get too fixated on this. It doesn't look as cool as Dirk's. Okay, what did he do? Left hand, ghost, control of visibility, scale, snap, return after copy, sketch haptics, high quality, control of visibility, sketching aid, surface contours. Yes, please. Cool. Hey, babe. Hi. Should we zoom in? It's about the... Okay. Oh no. Make that more like... What's Dirk doing? Kind of greeny. Nah, that's fun. Okay, and now group. Alright, now you're a group. Make him little. Oh, it's so cute. Alright. Think. So when I'm like in there, yeah, it's pretty good. Okay. Take it away, Dirkie.
Copy and scale,
So what are we doing? We're just making a...
just like large leaves sticking out of the ground. Like so. Now we still have to give it a thickness because, of course, once we open this in Unity, it'll just be one-sided geometry. I could have used a cube for this one, but let's just go over giving it a thickness like this. Make sure these vertices are snapping.
It's like a lot of work. All right. I can do it. I'm ready. Oh. Yeah, cube would have been easier. All right. What's going on? We're just going all the way around it? All right. This is like speed run shit. Just going all the way? Alright, let's do it. Uh-oh.
I'm not going to add one on the bottom because it's going to stick into the ground. Let's turn on the subdivision levels. And make sure it doesn't intersect with itself, which is kind of what's happening here. Just give it a little extra space. We could add another subdivision level, but that will, of course, increase the poly count. I'm going to keep it low. So let's give it a little bit more thickness. And I'm not ending this into a single vertex, but I want to end it in a little plane. This way, make sure it doesn't get too thin near the end.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on. What's going on here?
So you can just copy this around.
Alright. Something's gone wrong. Dunk. Dunk. Oh. I fucked it up. Let's just delete that. What do I want to do here? Let's do this. What would duck do? So you can't really extrude once you've done this, or if I just made a terrible mistake. Bop, bop. Hang on. Alright. No shit. Might need to start again. Alright. Let's see if I can just... I see what's happening. I'm trying to close the vertex. And then, yeah. Just fucking it up. Alright. Now I got a plane. I can do this. Alright. There we go. That'll do. Will it? Looks a bit like a ground tongue. That's right. That doesn't quite look like a picture. Happy little accidents. That's what we'll call them. All right. Make it a bit fatter around the This looks so much like a tongue coming from the ground. People are into that kind of stuff. All right.
Scale it.
So what's he doing? He's duplicated it. So let's
Give
take
it some
that.
different sizes.
How do I duplicate it? Okay.
Now here it turns out that this vertex wasn't connected to that one, which is also the case with this one. So just move it close and it'll snap. Also, when you're moving around a little group of vertices like this, don't do it zoomed out like this, because there's a risk it might automatically snap together. So make sure you're zoomed in for that.
This is maybe too
Okay,
thick.
let me scale this one up a little bit more. Make this
Bit less
one
tonguey.
a little bit more curved. Let's have one more that has a little bit more width.
Oh.
And now you can just go ahead and copy these and turn it into a plant. I would suggest keep it just a number of leaves, and then once you've gone through the whole process of creating materials, then in Unity, make sure these are separate, and you can still just go on and copy them throughout your scene, scale them. So you have a lot of variety, but the geometry can just be instanced, and it will all use the same material. Okay, so this for now is kind of the basic geometry for the flora we have here, and after this we'll go in and add more detail. Okay, we'll be adding in some more detail
No, hang on. Slow down,
to this
Chestnut.
little.
Okay, what do we do? What's he got here? 4, 5. Let's do 5. Let's just trust the master. Okay, so maybe that's like following that as well. Maybe this is a bit fatter at the bottom. It'd be pretty fun if someone like streamed watching me watching this at some stage. Okay. Nope. This is also too big. That's okay. Boop. Wait, no. Boop. Let's shrink it down a little bit. Now let's get it a bit bigger. Alright. Get that in the ground. Look, that'll do. So what do we do to group it? We went like that, and then we made it smaller. First it was tall, now it is small. Okay, now we grab it and we change its color to this orange. Ooh. Oh shit, hang on. Delete.
Diorama. I'm going to add some smaller plants. I'm just going to start with a cube.
Smaller plants.
Delete the bottom face.
Okay, start with the cube, delete the bottom face.
Scale it down.
Scale it down. Start with a cube. Nope, nope, nope. Relax. Okay.
And
cube.
let's create a flower.
How small are we talking here? Hmm.
Gonna
Okay,
add some
done.
edge loops there.
How do you do that? All right.
Gonna create some kind of cylinder shape.
Okay. All right. Settle down.
Subdivision on. Let's see what we can do here. I want to make a smaller inset in the middle here, so I'm just going to delete these lines. And I can take this face, copy it. Oops. Copy it, scale it.
Better.
And I'm going to copy.
All right. Nope. thought about shaving my head and eyebrows and eyelashes. Okay, alright, let's get comfy. I took my shoes off because I was overheating and I've run out of other options. Phone over there. Dirk. See, I've set it up so that I can read messages from the chat, because I missed messages last time and it's the first time anyone's ever said hello in chat. Alright, well, whoever was watching is gone now. That's okay. So let's go back one. How cool is this? Like, I'm just in VR controlling my YouTube and I can see the YouTube in VR. It's like, have I lost the audio? I've lost the audio. Alright. Or have I? Say something, Dirk. I feel like you would have said something by now. Alright.
Gonna add some
Oh wait, there he is.
edge
He's
loops
back.
there. I'm gonna create some kind of
Ba 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 ba.
cylinder shape. Subdivision on. Let's see what we can do here. I want to make a smaller inset in the middle here, so I'm just going to delete these lines. And I can take this face, copy it,
So you can just delete the lines. Alright.
oops, copy it, scale it.
Very cool.
And I'm gonna copy and scale it again. Forward,
No.
inward, make sure it doesn't overlap.
Ah, fuck.
It's already there. And now extrude
Fuck up.
outward again. So we've created a little. And I'm gonna copy and scale it again. Forward, inward.
Alright, so let's get this flower looking nice.
Make sure it doesn't overlap. It's already there. And now extrude outward again.
Okay.
So we've created a little
Sub D. Okay.
nipple, so to speak.
You can't say that, Dirk.
Maybe I want this edge to be a little harder. And I can just add another edge loop in there. And now maybe I want to take this plane, scale it down a little bit. Make sure it's centered.
Alright, let's just go back a bit. I think I'm fucking it up. So,
Well, this looks like something that could be the center of a flower. And then should add some leaves
okay.
around it.
So what's
I'm going to start with the cube again. I want to make it white, but it will be not very visible, so
Okay.
I'll make it
what are we
light
dealing
gray.
with here? Alright, so that's like as in as it can go. So let's grab the
And again, I'm gonna remove that bottom face because it will give undesirable results when we add the subdivision to it.
Probably zoom in even more.
So create an edge loop there. Take those lines, move them outward. And also I need to give it a little bit more thickness. Now, generally, I don't really want to go to the next subdivision level because this way I have a consistent idea of what my how low or high poly my geometry is going to be. So if I want to add more detail, which I need to do on the top here, I will do it by creating extra edge loops. So I'll create one there, then I'll move these one inwards, and then we'll see it smooths it out.
Alright, am I missing something here? No, it looks
I think
about
the
right.
bottom should be a little flatter, and we're just gonna
Okay. Looks pretty munted, but that's alright.
end up sticking that into
Doing
the
is making
flower.
petals. Alright, I can
First,
figure that out.
needs to be a little bit more symmetrical.
Some Willy Wonka shit going on here.
And I think I want to make it bend forward a little bit.
Alright, let's just try and keep up.
I also want to scale it up quite a bit. Also want to make sure it does intersect with the geometry. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think that could work nicely. Whoops. Just copy it.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Well, I guess you could say it doesn't, but that'd be pretty harsh.
And just kind of figure out how much leaves we can actually fit in there. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna spread them evenly.
Okay, make it easy for it to go in the bottom.
And then put an extra leaf behind them to fill up those gaps. Make sure it's all intersecting. Now, normally in other 3D software, I would just select all of these, make it a group, and copy it all at once. But there's no additive selection in Gravity just yet. I mean, not as far as I know. What I could do, of course, is just go like this, turn these into groups, and add it like that. Of course, what I meant was to have some kind of button where you could add any object to an existing selection, but this works also. Copy the whole group, rotate, and maybe for now give it a slightly different color just for visibility.
Oh,
No, this can be a little tricky. Because it's not going to work perfectly. Yeah, I think it's smart if we...
we're gonna fatten this one up.
move these
Alright, I get you.
outward. Ungroup and just go in there and make sure they're all intersecting. Make sure it looks fine at the front.
Give this a beefy butt.
I think that's okay.
Oh shit. How many double ups we got going on here?
Oops.
Lots. Okay.
I'm just gonna create one big group.
Let's get that like that.
So I can give it a
One group. Delete that.
color.
Alright. Oh shit. Alright, I'm gonna have to do this by
So
hand.
these colors will be determined later on. Mm,
So I already sort of know a bit. This is like really good to see the
I think for now this is fine, although
process. This
just
is
wanna go
awesome.
in
It's very special. What I'm really interested
here
in
and
is
make
how
sure
he does
these-
those sort
this
of like
is
procedural
comes
textures.
forward a
That's
little bit more.
always really stuck with me.
Gives it a little bit more depth.
Mm.
Okay. Group the whole thing. Create a little flower.
Yes, you have.
Now, I could add some leaves to this, but I don't think I want to. I want to keep it like this. Although, I do think that this should end up in the middle. Okay, there we go. A little flower added. Now I think I'm going to take this bush and I want to make a second version of it. So I'll just ungroup it. And just move some vertices around. And maybe we'll give it a slight bend.
Let's get that over there. Yeah, you guys are all
Make this
buddies
one a
now.
little bit smaller, less spread out. And let's remove those. Let's see if we can reuse this as well.
This is more stumpy. This is great. I don't have to say anything.
Yeah, I'll just extrude this face again. Create a new bulge there. And I'll do the same here. Just to make sure it looks different enough. This looks a little weird.
Yes, it does. I feel like I'm kind of doing this a lazy way, but that's okay. Kind of like this one better. It's a bit less bulbous.
Yes, I think something like this. I think 2 versions is enough. First, you're going to be scattering these around the scene and scaling it, and maybe intersecting with one another. The idea of creating assets for games, and especially VR, is of course getting as much mileage out of as few assets as possible. And yeah, let's give them about the same scale.
Doop.
Okay, the next one will be giving the tree some more detail. Okay, so we'll be adding a little bit more detail to this tree. I don't really want it to be a realistic tree. So the idea that I have is to create some branches here.
What's he doing? All right.
At the tops, oops.
One, two, three. Okay.
And I think I want to add another edge loop here to tighten it up a little bit.
We'll never not think that's the coolest.
And what I want to do is add a little sphere.
Little sphere, eh? That's
I
spicy.
never use this. A little bit more efficient is to use a cube. Oops. And give it an extra subdivision level. It says better edge flow, which is handy when it comes to UV unwrapping, which we'll be doing after this whole gravity sketch part is done. So I think I like to have a sphere just kind of floating on top of those branches. And let's make sure they all have different heights. So they don't get in each other's way. So I'll lower this one. And I'll basically do the same here. And that extra edge loop there. Copy the sphere, maybe scale it down a bit to get some variation.
It's alright, Mim. It's alright. Hey, it's alright. It's okay.
Like this, and the last one, pull it down a bit.
Let's do all these at once. So, what's our silhouette kind of doing here? Nothing much. All right.
And that extra loop there, and I forgot it here. Yeah, that's nice and weird looking. What we could do is add an extra branch to the tree. But I think I'm not going to do that because I want to copy this tree and scale it. Use it several times, and if we add a feature that's very distinguishable, it's hard to use it several times. It is, of course, always possible to make a copy and add the tree there, but you know what? I think I'm gonna leave it for now. Keep it relatively simple.
That's the spirit.
So these are the bushes. We have a little flower here. This we can use to create a plant or even some tall grass. I think what we need now is some rocks. I'll make them light gray. At a subdivision level. And then just add some loop cuts. And I usually just kind of start messing around with it. I think I want it to be more of a rounded rock. And especially rocks are very good to keep them kind of generic. So you can copy it a bunch and scale it down to create pebbles and have them in all
It's
different
like a tennis ball.
shapes. So maybe something like this, sort of X-shaped, but asymmetrical. And rocks, you're really just gonna make them stick through the floor and stuff like that. Okay, we'll create a second version. Maybe make it a little flatter and a little sharper. Yeah, it doesn't need to be too complicated. Just something like that. Maybe some, just an extra bush would be good, I think. So I'll start with a cube again. Delete that bottom face. Now I'm going to turn on subdivision level from the get-go.
Okay.
Maybe do something similar what we did with the trees.
Biggest
So
fan of
just
this
have the top branch
subd
off.
situation. There we go. That's cool. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. So you can turn it back off.
Yeah, it can be a little thicker. And I'm thinking,
Jesus. All right. He's already up to the second one. Slow down, buddy. That's good.
maybe there. There.
What are we doing?
These are pretty regular looking, so I think it's good if we make this one a little bit more quirky and atypical. So let's see how we can do that. Scale these down. Make it smaller.
Oh, cool. I'm probably done in a bit too. Oh, and then it's Tim Tam and Cola time?
Yeah, I want wine.
Huh?
I want wine.
Let's have some Tim Tams and Cola and see how we feel. How about that? Because what you really want is the signifier of rest.
I think for this we're not going to
What's he done?
add separate models for the bushy parts. Just going to use this geometry to create sort of droplets. Maybe add an extra little. I'm going to scale this whole thing down, I think. 'Cause it's getting a little big. Let's do something
It's
that's
just
not
going
very typical.
fucking rap mode. All right. I get it. You know what? I can go rap mode too. Let's. So what are we doing? Droplets. Oh, fuck. That's right mode times a million. All right. I getcha.
Yeah, that's seems like pretty alien looking plan to
Alright.
me.
Fuck yeah.
This is one that could use with some extra branching, I think. So I'll add an extra edge loop here.
Okay. Let's bring that in a bit more.
Create a branch here.
You too. This freaky deaky shit.
First
Alright.
scale it down and then just extrude and scale it up again. Extra edge loop. Select the whole edge loop like that. Yeah, it's a little big. Yeah, and I do think we need this branch extended. Will be the highest point of this bush. Yeah, I quite like it. Does it need an extra branch? You know what? I'm gonna give it just a small one.
More branches. Come on, baby. Alright.
Right there.
Can I keep up? That's a question. Look at this fucking freaky deaky shit. I love it.
Let's see how that looks.
What kind of biome creates this type of beautiful thing?
Smaller offshoot.
Ooh, is that
Needs-
two
this
bulbous?
needs to scale down a little bit.
Yeah, I reckon. Two bulbous?
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, I think that looks good.
Don't need to be competitive.
And for now, I think we need a little extra flower.
Oh, mate.
So
Settle
again,
down.
start with the cube.
Cool. Looks cool. Oh. Okay.
And
Fuck, this is like being in VR boot camp. Can you give me one cube, Sergeant?
let's here work with the geometry we have already also.
We're deleting the butt. Gotta delete the butt.
So I'm
shit.
thinking make this wider.
Okay. Sub D on.
Here we're gonna do a little extrude inwards and then immediately do another extrude outwards. So we get another one of those, let's call them nipples for lack of a better word.
It's gotta
And
be a
these
better word
could
than
be
that.
Just leaves coming straight from that branch.
Extrude inwards and then extrude outwards to create the vulva. Oh, what a day. What a week. What a fucking decade. We're only 3
Yeah,
months
we
into the
might
decade.
want to have
4
an extra
months.
loop cut because the ends are looking a little bit low poly.
Alright, let's do it. Doop.
I think we do need it because
Doop.
I think we want to make them a little longer. And then we
Oh.
automatically we just extrude it like
Alright,
this.
settle down, buddy. Oh. And a little doop.
If we do the loop cut like slightly above the middle,
Alright,
it
loop cut,
rounds
fuck.
off a little better.
Ugh, loop cuts.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh my god, this is such a game changer. Just, it's crazy doing tutorials.
Yeah, I think.
What you'll learn, like you might already know
Somewhere in
a
the
bunch of
middle.
it, but you'll learn this one thing that you
And
didn't
make
know,
sure
and
the
you didn't
edges
know
are
that you
still
didn't know.
flowing
Oh yeah.
nicely,
yeah.
following a curve.
Oh yeah.
I think it's nice to have a little bulge at the bottom here. So let's do something like this to give it somewhat of a mushroomy look.
Blech.
Yeah, I don't like how thin these are. So we can just select
Well,
these
you love mine.
faces and spread this around.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Ugh.
We've got some bushes. Let's classify this as a bush also. We've got some flowers. We've got some rocks. We've got a larger, more
tired,
central
man.
tree. We've got some long leaves for plant. I'm actually thinking for this, we could add an element.
Of surprise?
Let's give it the same color.
Alright, let's get
We
this
could
bulbous
add
butt.
an element that we could place in the middle of that.
You are relentless.
Subdivision on. And it would just, let's do something simple.
Let's give you another little whoop.
Make this a little tighter.
A little stamen. Stamen,
Add
that's
an
the
extra
word.
loop cut.
That's the word
Just a
for the...
little ball on top.
Alright, put you over here with the bushes, like the guy said. Okay. Get a little situation going here.
And it would be good to keep these as separate elements. So when you are placing
Let's
them
do
in,
that.
in
Okay,
Unity, in my
subdivide
case,
on.
you can easily just take stuff like this and scale it and make variations. And then you can just group it in Unity.
Make it a bit smaller. Oh, fuck it.
So I think what we need for this is just some ground covering, and I'll do that in the next part. And then we'll assemble a little diorama of those elements.
Oh, surely.
So now we're going to
How much longer?
add
I'm
some
done.
ground
I'm
cover
cooked.
materials.
What do we got left? 20 minutes. I can
And
do
with
it.
that I mean just
Alright.
the kind of plant life that's very small and close to the ground.
Oh, okay.
And let's give it a
20 minutes. This is
temporary
fucking endurance sport
material.
situation. Should I save? I'm gonna save. Save.
And I think I want to
Dirk.
make this all from one piece. So
Okay, what are we doing here?
just create an inset, copy the face, scale it down, extrude this, delete that face.
A little
Let's see
table.
what it
Okay.
looks like.
Oh,
Yeah,
more
the
shit,
extra loop
alright.
got here.
great. Let's make it
This
green.
might already be a shape we can use. This is going to be pretty small, I think. Now you could just make one and then copy it in Unity, but that is a lot of work. And for stuff like this, I do like to create an object that has multiple
Hmm.
elements. Different sizes and different scales. And then also some of them are pretty close together, which means that if we process it in Substance Painter, we're gonna get some of that nice ambient occlusion, contact shadow going on. Because these elements are going to be so small, light mapping alone in Unity won't really create that. And I don't really like to bake in ambient occlusion in Unity. So I
does.
really like to extract that or get that in the materials in Substance Painter. Okay, let me just copy a few around. This is why it's handy to have the ground floor, because you'll have some kind of reference as to what the height is. Now I'm just going to scale and make sure also to rotate them a bit. We want to see as little of the repetition as possible. Okay, maybe one here. Now let's take this, copy it around. Now what I like to do for stuff like this is kind of, as I mentioned, have it taper off to the sides. That means making it a little smaller and a little lower. This way we can take the whole group and copy that in Unity, also kind of scaling and rotating that around. Maybe like so. The basic shape would be kind of round. Let's see if this is a nice evenly distributed mesh. Now, of course, a shape like this is going to be the work you don't have to do because you're copying it in Gravity Sketch is the work you will have to do in your 3D modeling, because there you will have to unwrap all of this. And of course, if you just create one, you'll have to create one unwrap, and then you'll duplicate it later on. But as I mentioned, for these very small shapes, I do like to copy them beforehand and have one big mesh. Okay, I think I want to have some pretty low ones, kind of to fill up. In between. Oops. Again, make them slightly smaller as we go to the outside. I think this should work. Let me check if they're all touching the ground. Yeah, it appears so. Some will go through the ground a little bit more than others, but I mean, that's not really that important. Yeah, so here we have the whole shape, and after processing it and opening it in Unity, you'll just take that whole shape and scale it, and you can connect it in such a way that it doesn't really look like it's being copied too much. Important to rotate and scale it. And then you can fill it up pretty quickly. So I think this is the ground cover. Let's first
that's crazy.
put them all together just to see what it looks like and kind of determine the shapes, or I mean the scale of these things. I'll put these rocks here. Before we export to Substance Painter, I won't put them together like this because you will create context shadows that don't work if you want to use this rock separately. It'll have black spots. So this is just to see kind of how it mixes. And I'll copy some that I'll delete later on. For now, I just really want to see if it works well together and also kind of how big the individual parts should be. There will be some elements that will lend themselves better for scaling than others. This is also kind of a matter of taste and how you're going to use them. Obviously, these are not realistic plants, so you can do whatever you want.
That's what we're dealing with here, alright, just from one angle. All right.
Now we can just kind of look at it and see what we think it needs. I'm pretty happy with it, but one thing that I can think of is just a simple little mushroom. Yeah, let me create that real quick. I'll start with a box and make it blue this time. Delete that face. Turn on subdivision.
What are we doing here? All right. Put one over here.
Yeah, probably something like this. No, bring this down. Obviously, I'm gonna scale it down quite a bit. It's really supposed to be small. And let's just create a second version of that. That has kind of a tilt and so a little wider. Just so we get some variation going on.
Let's give you a little bit more of a little hat. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright. Let's get you both quite small. Get you in there as well. Boop.
Okay, well there we have it. A small diorama of alien plants in Gravity Sketch. So next step is processing this in your 3D modeling software. I'm going to use 3ds Max, but the basic principles will apply for other software as well. So now we've created our little diorama in Gravity Sketch, and we want to
make this a
export
bit
it,
smaller.
process it in a 3D modeling software, and then import it into Substance Painter before we start using it in Unity. Or at least that's the workflow I'm showing you with these videos. I've copied some elements in the diorama just to see what it looks like all put together, but we don't want to export all of this. We just want to export the unique models. So I am actually going to go in and pull this apart, make sure we don't have any duplicates. This way it's a little easier to select this in Gravity Sketch than in 3ds Max. So I'm just gonna create a line, a row, I should say, of these elements. The rocks, there were just 2 of them. For now, I'm going to make that layer with the little guy invisible. We just had 1 of these flowers. I'm gonna keep the one with the most average scale, because the scale will in the end affect how much texture space it will take up, which will have an effect on the resolution. Which means that if I export these little mushrooms with this scale, but then I end up in Unity deciding to make them this big, then you will see that the resolution is not going to be enough. So take that into account and have a general idea on how big the elements will be when you're going to use them. Maybe I'll scale them up a little bit. It's always easier to scale them down than scale them up. And I want to spread them apart far enough so any ambient occlusion that's going to get baked in later on is not going to affect the element or the object next to it. So just to be sure, let me move this to the side. If, for example, I would move these, export these rocks like this, then most likely there will be some contact shadow, some ambient occlusion visible. And because we want to use these elements separate from each other, we don't want that to happen. Of course, what we do want is the ambient occlusion or contact shadows within each of these meshes. So there'll be some being cast on this ground cover, which we will like. There will be some on the bottom of this mushroom, and of course where these leaves are contacting each other. But that's actually what we want. So if you think that the general size that they will be used in the scene later on is good, you can export. I actually think that I am going to scale up these rocks a little bit, because I might want to have use them as semi-large boulders. And as I mentioned, it's always easier to scale them down than to scale them up because of texture resolution. Okay, I think this should work. Now it's just a matter of exporting. You do that here. With the core version, you can export as OBJ, which is fine. Leave the model units on centimeters. Make sure you export single-sided. By default, it's on control mesh, but you want to export render mesh, which means it will export the way you're looking at them in the viewport right now. If you have it on control mesh, it will not include the subdivision levels. So render mesh will export what you see. Welded vertices is on. Basic settings are fine. Okay, let's call it Flora Tutorial 1. This will give you a zip file, which you'll need to unzip and then import that OBJ in your 3D modeling software of choice.
I did it! All right. Champion. Very cool.
Can you guys hear me okay?
All right, that's all done. We did it. Whew, what was that? 2 hours? An hour?